covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 5:30 starts right now.
Well, we start at 5:30 with a Tulsa fisherman sharing concerns about what he's seen in the Arkansas River. He told a state environmental agency about it, but says he never heard back.
He reached out to Tulsa's investigative reporter Janna to look into it. It's her Fox 23 investigation.
So yeah, that's where the soccer field is.
Daniel Kane pointed out where he spends time along the Arkansas River.
I spent a lot of time fishing. Sometimes I come down to the river and do a little bit of bird watching.
When did you first start coming down to the river?
Probably when I was about 14, 15 years old. I was always told just as a young kid not to play in the river, play around the river, just because of its history with the refineries and oil waste.
The Department of Environmental Quality has talked to me about historical pollution, what's called a plume, under the H.F. Sinclair Refinery. It's on the west side of the river.
These spills have happened throughout the history of that facility.
In the past few years, the refinery says it worked with DEQ and built 2 containment caps to keep the hydrocarbon seeps from getting into the river. One is just south of the pedestrian bridge, and the other is just north of the bridge. Daniel isn't convinced the caps are working, at least not fully. What are some of the things that you've noticed?
I've smelled like a really strong odor, kind of reminiscent of like a varnished fuel. And then down along the west bank, as I started walking a little bit further north towards the dam, is whenever I started noticing that the smell was a lot stronger.
Daniel told me in September he took this video of what he calls an oily sheen on the water between the rocks. He took all this video on the west side of the river, just south of the Zinc Dam. It's where the refinery put in the first containment cap in 2022. What do you see in the water?
Anything from like multicolored foams, sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's brown with kind of like brown streaks in it. Kind of notice like an oily sheen on the top of the water, really vibrant rainbow color.
What does it look like?
Kind of looks like oil or kind of like gasoline floating on top of the water.
Daniel's not the only person I've heard from about this. Other Tulsans have sent me their photos and videos over the past 6 months. They say what they've seen in the water concerns them too. So what did you think when you see that stuff?
I thought that I should document it mainly because I see a lot of people that are fishing in the area. You know, a lot of people do fish, catch, or release, but there are a lot of people that are taking the fish home and eating the fish.
Do you take the fish home?
No, I just catch and release. I wouldn't eat anything out of there.
I asked DEQ if it's okay to eat fish caught out of the Arkansas River. They emailed this. DEQ does not have a fish consumption advisory for the Arkansas River. They said they have not tested fish in the river. Daniel says he reported what he saw to DEQ and sent this email. He wrote, "The water is oily, smells heavily of fuel and sulfur. This area is heavily fished when the dam is open, and people may not be aware of the pollution." He says the only thing he heard back from DEQ was that his submittal has been received.
They didn't say anything about results.
So I asked DEQ what they found. They sent me this record that shows when the first DEQ specialist went out to check, she wrote she noticed a sheen and used a stick and dipped it, and the sheen stuck to the stick. There was also a strong odor of petroleum. The rocks were very slick, as if they had been covered with petroleum. Then on this page, she noted in a caption, "This is the approximate area at which I observed what appeared to be hydrocarbons." It's pointing at the area where Daniel took the videos. But a more experienced DEQ manager went with the specialist 6 days later. He told me on the phone he did see sheens out there, like in Daniel's videos, but he does not think those are hydrocarbon sheens. He wrote in this letter, DEQ did not confirm that hydrocarbons were being released or that a hydrocarbon sheen was present in the complaint area. The specialist wrote in the report on that same day, "We did not observe any visual indication that hydrocarbons were entering the river, and the sheen was no longer there." Here's DEQ's overall response, that what Daniel saw in the river is a naturally occurring process. DEQ wrote, "The videos do not confirm the presence of hydrocarbon sheening. The pool water and water seep orange to red coloration and the sheening visible in the videos most likely result from iron oxidization and associated biosolids."
Honestly, I would think if it was naturally occurring, I would be seeing it in more locations, not just concentrated in that one spot.
When I asked the DEQ manager about that on the phone, he told me he did see these sheens in more places along the river, not just in that one area. I asked HF Sinclair about Daniel's videos too, and they wrote this. The containment caps are working as designed. HF Sinclair also conducts weekly inspections along the riverbank, where we look for hydrocarbon sheens as part of our environmental monitoring efforts. I asked DEQ if there have been any leaks into the river in 2024. They wrote in an email, there have not been sheens observed in the Arkansas River from the East Refinery since the completion of the second containment cap along the riverbank in April of this year. But DEQ said there have been hydrocarbon sheens in another part of the river. They wrote, there have been sheens observed throughout the year at the West Refinery, including October, which are contained by hard and sorbent booms in the river. I'm going to explain this better by showing you. Here are the two containment caps near the East Refinery. Again, DEQ says there have not been any hydrocarbon sheens found here. Now I'm going to show you the other area. From here, if you go north up the river and around the bend to right here, it's near the West Refinery. You can see the booms in the river DEQ told me about. They said the booms have to stay there all the time, and the refinery has to do 3 inspections a week.
Videos of the site.
Daniel says he just wanted to make sure Tulsans could see what he's seen.
I see people down there fishing like every single day, and I don't think anybody's really aware.
In Tulsa, covering news that matters, Janna Clark, Fox 23 News.
Since the beginning of 2024, the city started testing the river water twice a week and put the information on a public dashboard. The results for bacteria go on the front screen. You do have to click around a bit to get the results for chemical testing. We put full statements from HF Sinclair on FOX23.com. Just click on this story.